so this is my first time reading something that is not yet published. The title is On Writing with Oil, Lessons on the Creative Process. I'm actually not gonna read the whole thing because I'm gonna stay within my own time limit that I gave other people, which I never have done, but I'm gonna be compliant with my own rules tonight. The ending part I will not read, but it just goes on to talk about why oil painting was so important for me while I was writing my book. And so I think for any creative, I think when you're investing your time in the thing that you are like super, super dedicated to the point where it starts to attach to your identity, it's important to find the creative practice that like you care about, but ain't no money tied to it, ain't nobody really care. Like, I am a painter, you know, but it doesn't matter to my career in that type of way, and so it was super important for me to find painting as an outlet. Are you ready? Yeah! Okay. After a 5-hour-long flight from Seattle, a 2-week stopover in New York City to visit my family, and an hour-long drive from the Burlington International Airport, I finally arrived to the Vermont Studio Center, where I spent the next 3 weeks in residency. I hoped the inconvenient distance would propel my writing, as if I needed to justify the time, expense, and absence from real life. My writing studio was as small as a large walk-in closet in a middle-class home, an adulting dream deferred for most in my generation. I found a few dusty dictionaries on the bookcase and a framed photograph of 2 white men whose names I presume were inscribed on the door. I moved the frame to the bottom shelf, face down. It was bad enough. I was the only black person I'd seen since leaving New York City. I don't need 2 white men watching me work. My writing desk, heavy and stately, commanded the left side of the room. I stacked my computer and the few books I stuffed in my carry-on luggage on top. I unpacked 62 photos I printed back in Seattle and with care arranged them on the corkboard above the desk in more or less chronological order. Perhaps these 4x6 cobblestones could guide me back to 2018 to revisit the seconds, minutes, days, weeks, and months between my spinal cord tumor diagnosis and post-operative recovery. The first MRI image I saw on my doctor's computer. Those tearful first attempts to relearn how to walk. The pizza bagels me and my geriatric rehab floor mates took a comically long time to prepare. My 18th sunrise over New York's East River on discharge day. Surgery saved and destroyed my life in ways I traveled to Vermont to name. But I couldn't. I sat at my heavy, important desk, afraid to type a single word. The first time I said I wanted to be a writer out loud was in Mrs. Barrett's 7th grade English class. I want to write a book someday, I said, and paused. But it probably won't happen. In that New York City public school, tough but loving kind of way, Mrs. Barrett said, "Why would you say that?" This was not a question. If you want to write a book, write a book. Once faced with the reality of bills and health insurance, fear held me closer to the idea of writing than the work writing required. But then I thought I was going to die. Once I accept the existence of dying as a life process, Audre Lorde reminds me, who can ever have power over me again? Fear became like a mosquito to clap down with deadly precision. I love artist residencies because it puts me in community with artists across disciplines. Painters, printmakers, woodworkers, sculpturists, composers, choreographers, filmmakers, and writers of all genres. I had the good fortune to spend most meal times in conversation with the likes of Jacobo Alonso, a Mexican artist who left his tech career years ago to study fine arts in France. At dinner, he showed me his Fumage series, created by imprinting his naked body onto large sheets of paper coated in soot. OMG, you're like an artist. I said to Jacobo, dropping my jaw as he scrolled through his portfolio. Midway through my first draft of Authentic, I enrolled in an 8-week oil painting class at Pratt Fine Arts Center in Seattle. Writing is an all-consuming labor of love that after a year or so working all day, every day, anxious and judgmental about productivity, felt more like lustful labor. Writing is not the same as publishing. The market makes it easy to forget that books are not just products, but the art of letters. I needed a low-stakes creative outlet, the chance to make art without the pressures of being good. I ain't no diddly squat about oil painting. But like all my relationships, my young love for the medium felt urgent and intense. It took just one finished painting to call myself a painter. Though, just like in Mrs. Barrett's class, I pulled the punch. I'm a painter now, y'all. I squealed. But I only have like one little baby painting. Lisa Whittington, a prolific artist I met last year on residency in Georgia, examined an Instagram photo of my first completed work, a nude self-portrait. Stop laughing. Stop laughing, Lisa said. You are a painter. Anytime an older Black woman speaks into your life, believe her. There was an adjustable standing desk on the right side of my studio. I emptied the USPS flat rate box of painting supplies I mailed myself from home and began prepping my station. I organized my canvas paper, brushes, mediums, a glass palette, knives, and a dozen tubes of oil pigments. This is where I stood after my first failed essay attempt and forgot essay attempt is redundant. I turned my back on my computer, readied a fresh canvas, and dabbed my palette with the colors of melanin: ivory black, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, raw umber, and ultramarine blue. My studio overlooked a modest cascading waterfall at the river's bend. I lifted the window, raising its volume, and danced my favorite brush to the current roar. The creative relief I experienced painting was equally matched by capitalistic anxieties about whether I was like a writer. Real writers write. I painted for 3 days. I did try. After I hung the photos, before I abandoned my computer, I read through every single entry of my tumor journal, a day-to-day record of thoughts and medical tasks between diagnosis and recovery. I did nothing to prepare my soul. No scented candles or Palo Santo, no lavender oil to warm my chest. I didn't make my favorite tea or hydrate with a cool glass of water. I did not lay down my yoga mat to meditate or move my body. I just sat there, reading. Unkind and reckless, I summoned my most traumatized self. It's been 7 years since that fateful MRI, 7 years since surgery removed a tumor from my body and my body from the daily living I was used to, felt entitled to. It's been 7 years with a spinal cord injury, 7 years of unrelenting pain, 7 years confronting the reality that life has no rules. I can attend the best schools and still struggle to find a good job. I can find that good job and hate it. I can eat right, exercise, not smoke, and still get cancer. I can beat cancer. And I rebuke this in the name of Jesus, get cancer again. I can rewrite every tired script meant to contain my life with seductive promises of physical, emotional, and financial health. And one day, 7 years later, I will realize, despite and because of these risks, I am safe. This phantasmic refuge crumbled in front of me page by page. I crawled down deep, deep, deep into unprocessed sorrow that had everything and nothing to do with those 7 years. Had I not forced myself to stop and paint, I'd never stop wailing. I am afraid to drain my well of grief because it's where I've stored barrels of unshed tears for Adriana Smith, a pregnant Black woman in Georgia who was forcibly kept alive even though her brain was dead because state law does not recognize human dignity. For Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a father from Maryland, and Andrew Jose Hernandez Romero, a makeup artist living in California, who were abducted and disappeared to El Salvador. For trans, non-binary, and genderqueer people attacked for existing, for families ripped violently from each other and the communities who love them, and for Gaza. Forever and always for Gaza. Can I be safe and believe, as James Baldwin did, the children are always ours, every single one of them, all over the globe? Is safety possible for a person who is Black and disabled and a woman and of moral conscience? What is risk to an artist when truth is our only mandate? Artists do not make art when we are safe. Artists make art for all of us to be safe. At my desk, I stared through tears at my evidence wall of survival, afraid to grieve what happened to me. What has, is, will happen to all of us. Writing opens the door to whatever home we've made of mourning, a place to leave our shoes before we enter. Thank you.